Greetings everyone, Slurgical here, and welcome to another Mordheim Roll4Terrain. So I rolled 5 twos, which led to the Alchemist's laboratory. That was a tough one to say in English. Let's put aside the challenging English words by reading some. A narrow stairway leads down to a crypt-like dwelling, which was... oh, it's gone. Let's go back on track here. Which was an alchemist workshop. And that's going to be a tough one. I was getting pretty comfortable using CAD program to design everything, but now I'm forced into getting into a Sculpt program, which is something I always wanted, but I was always afraid because every time I attempted, my Neanderthal brain was bogging down. So now for this project, I was thinking I need to make authentic bricks, so I have to do single bricks. So I'm trying to figure out how to make a one brick. And by doing this way, making a rectangle and then making bumps into it, it works great, except for it's really sharp on the edges and I have to figure out a way to smooth it out. And as you can see, I'm just learning the program as I'm doing that one brick. I did use that program for Smithy, and I struggle a little bit with it, but this is a bit of a bigger challenge. Here is how I attempted to do my first set of brick. I just use one tool called crease, and I'm just creasing the box, the rectangular box I made, and just random pattern and things like that. This turned out to be really tedious and not really necessary. Ended up figuring out a better way to do that. Now that I almost found a better way on how to do that, I basically did what I did, and then I'm smoothing the surface of the brick so it's not, you don't see the pixels around, but the brick becomes uneven. Now that worked out really good. Let's make 50 of those. Now that I made 23 of them, let's make a few extra ones and damaging them a little bit more. And another trick I also found is if instead of tapping and doing little crunches like that, I go with more drastic movement and just go crazy with it. This is in a real speed. Real time. I didn't accelerate anything. Well, after doing 50 of them, let's try to do something realistic in the real world of fakeness. I made a well or a fire pit. It's my fire pit at the trailer, so I kind of copied that. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I just maximize time and workflow by doing this? Since I really don't know what I'm doing yet, I'm just like screwing around, trying to rotate, change, duplicate, see, because I'm only having 50 bricks made and I probably need 200-300 bricks in total. So I'm just placing them around just to show you that building and the whole thing is going to be brick by brick. Digital masonry and bricklaying. That's fun. It took a long time, so listening to a podcast and music and an audiobook. I forgot to record the making of this, so instead what I'm doing is if you notice in the bottom left corner, the numbers are changing and some stuff is flashing. It's just I'm going on undo until the whole thing is undone. Now that I know I can do something circular, let's try to do a wall because I need to make walls. So this is just an example on how slow I started with in real time, how to line up the bricks and make sure they touch because they have to touch. So when I come to print, they print as one object. By skipping ahead here, just bring the second layer of the brick. So I just drag one here and I'm zooming in closer so I can just align the brick on top of those first layer of brick. Just rotating and just adjusting, and it's going to go on like that for a while. Thankfully, I can save you the aggravation and skip ahead. So you can see in the second layer I made a little half a brick that I put there. So building like Lego brick and real life bricks, otherwise it's just going to be straight walls. So it's at first it's a bit awkward to work, but you get used to moving things around and aligning them. Like right now I'm aligning and I'm just going to slide it in place while I align it a little bit more. Then we'll slide it into the proper location like that, and I'll move on like this. I'm still working with individual bricks, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to select a whole bunch of them, the whole set of bricks, and I'm going to see how realistic or if I can even do that by copying them all and then changing their position. Like you can see, I'm going in the menu there. I just duplicated all my selection. I copied it, and now I'm just gonna rotate it. And since I wasn't thinking ahead, since I don't know what I'm doing really, I wasn't working on a flat plane. I was off in an angle. So whenever I decide to, let's simply just rotate it like this. Well, it's completely skewed and it doesn't align properly because we're working on different plane angles, I guess, unless I'm wrong and I still don't know what I'm doing. But I think that's just because of the plane and how I shouldn't have done that. Once I align them properly, and I'm just trying to put it on top of each other and see, and I just learned something new. Well, when each individual bricks I made are a little bit off in an angle, it will not be a perfect fit when I just simply rotate it like this and make a match that way. Because I want to try to maximize those 50 bricks. So when you look at it, it looks like there's hundreds of different individual bricks instead of just 50. And this really didn't work. So it's all a learning process. Finally, I got sick and tired of messing around and I figured out what I need to do, more or less. So, you can see that's a wall that I was completely dumb. I shouldn't have done that and I erased it. That was going to be my floor. I decided to build a floor pattern. So instead of having bricks side by side, like if it was just the wall I just made, I wanted to have a nice different look on the floor. So the idea is that the Alchemist's laboratory was built in a cave. So I'm not controlled by design squares and rectangles and all those classic building style. I'm forced to follow the walls of caves. And the floor is uneven on the cave, so I need to create my own flooring. So I decided to work out a pattern to make things a little bit more interesting. It was a very slow process, and along that very slow process, I found a new way to copy all a selection without having to go one by one to select them. So I made a selection of that entire thing, and I duplicated, and I decided to let's put it somewhere. Oh, it seems to match here, but you can notice there's a little empty square hole here, square. That's not a full brick, so I will have to make those half bricks and filling all that stuff. By this time, my brain exploded and I had enough of that. So I decided, let's put some walls now and let's build this thing. Since I had that crappy wall that I built earlier, I'm going to start stealing bricks from there, and I'll be stealing bricks from the other set of 50 bricks I made. And I think, and you can see I changed the length of some of them too. Some of them was by accident, some of them was on purpose. When I did that by accident, I realized, oh, so if something doesn't feel right, maybe I can just slightly increase the length of the brick. And often when you make a mistake, it always leads to learning and discovering something new. So installing those bricks and adjusting them from different angle, it's really interesting. I'm actually really enjoying. Hey, here's SummonLesserMaker just giving a comment on his channel. That's one great thing is that, it's his fault I'm doing this. I blame him for all of this. And also thank him. Again, it's a lot of... it takes a long time to build all this, so I'm not going to show the entire video. This is just to give you an idea on how it looks like when I'm just 1/3 of the way of the project. And after I finish this building, this room, the laboratory, I created a staircase. I didn't record that thing, which thankfully for you, because otherwise you'll have to sit through that as well. It couldn't all be printed in one shot because printer bed it's too small. So I printed in two different file, and they just lock in as you're gonna see later in this video. And it's a good thing that the printer bed is too small because it gives the opportunity to have that staircase being used for different terrain at a later date. So it's still modular. It still retains the modularity of what I've always been doing. Let's jump into the time lapse of the terrain being printed. Now it's the full terrain now with the chimney and the second room. You didn't see the design and the building of that, but that's all good. Now it's all printed, and let's move to see on how everything works together. You just connect the stairs section to the room, and you got yourself a fully completed scenario of 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. 2? No, that was one extra 2. We don't need that extra 2. Who knows what it would have been. It's really fun, and you can see on the far right there, there's another passage, so if you want to reuse this for something else, it can easily be done. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you think.